Hi, this is Sweet June coming back at you with another video. I'm going to tell you guys a story. I'm not sure what the title of this video, but I'm going to tell you a story of a huge parenting mistake that I made back in the day with my oldest son. Um, I actually lost him. Literally, I lost him. I literally lost my oldest son. I lost him. I lost him when my oldest son was and I'm after I tell you the story I'm gonna make a point. After I tell the story I'm gonna make a point. Um my son was about he couldn't have been no more than maybe two. He's between the ages of 1 and 2 because he was still wearing diapers. He was still wearing diapers, so he was between the ages of 1 and 2. So He, it'd be safe to say he was under 3. He was under 3. He was probably between the ages of 1 and 2 because he was still wearing diapers. It was before he was potty trained. I was at a friend's house. My friend was having a birthday party for my friend. Lived in an apartment complex. She lived in a townhouse in an apartment complex here in my city on the other side of town. I took my son over there. She was having a party, a birthday party. She was having a birthday party for her son. And the way the townhouse is set up, um, in the front, it was like a dead end. It was like kind of like on the dead end part of the townhomes. That like where her townhouse was at, it was kind of like a dead end, and like a what they would say a cul-de-sac or a dead end or whatever. Um, and in the back, it was the front, and then in the back they had like a little playground area, and there was a hill in the back. Well, of course, there was a huge mountain in uh, I wouldn't say wooded area. It wasn't a wooded area, but it was a dirt area. But that was fenced off. But there was a huge there was a mountain behind her townhouse. I mean, not a mountain, but a hill. That's a mountain. It was a hill, and then there was a little it was fenced, but then there was a little way you could get through the fence. But behind her townhouse there was like there was a playground area in that fence area. Well, anyway, we let the children play back there. It was like some swings and stuff like that. So we let the children, her kids, my kid, and my son, we let them play in that um, little playground area. Now, while they were playing back there, me and my friend went up front to sit up front in front of the townhouse um, to talk. We sat up there to talk. Um, now, and we let the children play in the back. Now, mind you, I was checking on my son. I called myself checking on him. I was going back there checking on. We were both checking on the children. We would go back and take a peek and check on them. We check on them. They would still be back there playing and everything. Okay, and then we go back and we be talking. Now, what we should have been doing is sitting back out there where because she had a back patio area. What we should have been doing was sitting in the back patio area, doing our talking while we were watching the children. That's what we should have been doing, but we were sitting in front talking as opposed to sitting in back. So that was the mistake that we made. We should have been, instead of being in the front of the townhouse, we should have been in the back. and why we could have been talking while we were observing the kids. So hindsight is 2020. And I kept checking, my son and everything. And when I went back to check him the final time, I went back to check him. He was gone. He was gone. I mean, I'm like, oh my God, my son is gone. I mean, Justin is gone. That's my oldest son's name. He was gone. And as a mother, that's like every mother's worst nightmare is to lose their child. But at the same time, motherly instincts and in my spirit, I knew the only thing I was just worried because I didn't know where he was at. And so it scared me, the fact that I didn't know where he was at. But then in my spirit, I had a feeling that he was okay. I had this feeling that he was okay. But at the same time, I was scared because I didn't know where he was at. So we were looking, we were searching high and low. I think we even asked the neighbors. We were looking all in the back, and we were talking to the kids, and we were looking in the front. We looked because, like I said, there was a hill, and then there was a fence, and then where the fence was, there was a little opening. It didn't occur to me that he walked through that opening, but that's what he did. He walked up the hill, and he walked through that little opening in the fence. Now, on the other side of that fence was another street. It was like another street. Well, it was on the other side of the fence was facing the backyards of the other street. Like on the other side of the fence, it was people's backyard to a whole nother street. But it was their backyard. So now, mind you, now this is now my son's father had dropped me off. Mind you, rewind back a little bit. My son's father had dropped me off to this birthday party. See, had I been a witness back then, I would have been celebrating the birthday. That would have never happened. See? Just saying. But mind you, my son's father had dropped me off at this party. He went back home. Now, mind you, this was 1990, maybe 90, 91. This was before cell phones. Nobody had a cell phone back then but rich people. Okay. So, wasn't no cell phones. Just by the grace of God, I called him. He happened to be home because he went back home. Just by the grace of God, he happened to be home, and he answered the phone. And I said, Ted, that's his name. That's my son's father's name. Ted, I said, Justin is gone. He's missing. I can't find him. So he came back. He drove back out there. Now, his house was, I think at the time, maybe he was staying with his grandmother, and his grandmother was like way on the other side of town. Like, she was on the other side of town from where I lived. So I'm assuming that's where he was at. So he drove all the way back to this apartment complex. Took him a little minute to get out there because he was coming from way on the other side of town. So it took him a minute to get there, and when he got there, he found my son. He drove around to that other street in the back of the um, apartment complex on the other side of that fence. And he found my son in a swimming pool. He found, well, my son was in a swimming pool um, I guess with another kid. It's interesting because I just recently, uh, I was thinking about that a couple of weeks ago, and I never, well, my son's father, first of all, he was so mad at me at the time. He was so mad at me that I didn't even ask no questions. I didn't ask him no questions or anything because he was so mad at me at the time. Um, but I remember him bringing my son's diaper back, and he slammed the diaper into my hand. It was soaked like he had been in some water, and he slammed the diaper in my hand. And just recently, because he was pissed, he, my son's father was pissed. He was pissed. I didn't even ask no questions because he was mad. I made a huge mistake. It was my bad. Horrible parenting mistake. Worst thing a mother can do is lose their child. I just recently, I was thinking about that a couple of weeks ago, and I just recently asked him, I texted him on Facebook, and I asked him, I said, how did you find, it dawned on me, I said, how did he find my son? Like, because he was in a pool. Now, mind you, these, it was the apartment complex, it was a little hill, and there was a fence there, and on the other side of that fence was the backyards to the other street. It was the houses on the other street, but it was facing on the other side of the fence was facing the backyards. Now, if when he drove down that street, he was on the other side facing the front of the houses. So I'm assuming this pool was the pool could have been in front of the house, but I'm assuming this pool was in the back of the house, but it could have been in front of the house. But I just recently asked him just a couple of weeks ago. My son is just turned 30, mind you. I was thinking about this. For some reason, it just dawned on me. And I think the reason why I was thinking about it because I was thinking about all these people on YouTube scrutinizing all these young mothers on here. And I was thinking about all the mistakes that I made when I said, if I had a blogged all the mistakes that I made with my kids, if YouTube was around back then and I had a blogged all the mistakes that I made with my kids, people would be dragging people would be dragging me big time. I would be getting dragged. Now, had it been YouTube back then and I had a tape that and put it on YouTube, that whole thing, I would have got dragged. People would have been calling CPS on me. I would have got dragged. Of course, there was no social media, there was no YouTube, none of that back then. But I'm just saying, hypothetically, had it been and I had to put it on YouTube, people would have been dragging me down to the T. They would have been dragging me, would have been calling all kind of CPSs and everything on me, okay? Because I literally lost my son. I just asked his father a couple of weeks ago because I was thinking about all that. How did you find him? I texted him on Facebook. I said, how did you find, matter of fact, how did you find Justin that time he got lost? My son's 30 years old now. I'm just now asking him that. Because at the time, mind you, he was so mad at me. He was so mad at me that I didn't even ask any questions. I didn't even ask my son's father any questions because he was so mad at me. He probably wanted to hit me. He was so mad at me. So at the time, I didn't ask any questions, you know. But I just thought about it a couple of weeks ago, and I said he said that when he texted me back, he said, yeah, that's the day I would like to forget. He said, I think the lady. He said I think the lady that changed his diaper. He said I forget what her name was. The lady that changed his diaper. So apparently it was he might have found my son in a swimming pool with another child. I'm assuming that he found my son in a swimming pool with another child around his age, and the lady found my son and she changed his diaper. I don't know who she is, but whoever she is, I want to thank her. But I said, okay, well, just imagine what was probably going through this lady's mind. What kind of mother would turn their back on their child and let their child just run off like that at this age? Because mind you, my son wasn't even 3 years old. He was between, I would have to say between 1 and 2, because he still was wearing diapers. He wasn't even potty trained yet. So, okay, so he was quite young. He was just a baby. And so just imagine, I thought about that. I said, just imagine what was going through that woman's mind. How could she do that? How could she's a horrible mother. I'm surprised that she didn't call CPS on me. I'm surprised this woman didn't call CPS on me. So he said that in the text that the woman that changed his diaper, he had forgot her name, but she had the, I guess apparently had a child around the same age, so she had diapers. And because I just thought about that, I said, well, where did he get the diaper from? And where do you, like, how did he find them? So I just texted this a couple of weeks ago. Texted him that a couple of weeks ago. He said that was the day he would like to forget. Um, but that was a huge mistake that I made. I mean, it was a huge mistake I made. First of all, me and my friends should have been sitting in the back of the townhouse in the patio area, because she had a patio facing the playground. Don't know why we wasn't sitting in the back. I don't know. Maybe we were being stupid or something. I don't know. We were being stupid because her kids were back there too. So I guess we thought as long as we kept checking on them that they were going to be okay. But it doesn't take long for a child to come up missing. They can come up missing like this. I mean, a split second. It can happen in a split second. You can look, and the next thing you know, you look again, they're gone. I mean, it doesn't take much time for a child to come up missing. And I swear I had just went back there to check him. And when I went back, he was gone. I mean, I was like, oh my God. I mean, I got a feeling, like I said, in my spirit, I had a feeling that he was okay. I didn't get that horrible, terrible feeling, that something had happened to him. I kind of had because I was praying, I said, oh Lord, please let my baby be okay. And, he kind of gave me a little bit of a peace, because I had a feeling that he was okay. But at the same time, I was scared because I didn't know where he was at. It was the fear that I had was just not knowing where he was at. And so, like I said, this was before cell phones. When I called my son's father, this was before cell phones. So just by the grace of God, he answered the phone. He drove all the way back home, and he happened to be at home. He answered the phone, and when he came back, but like I said, when he was pissed. At the time, I didn't ask any questions because he was pissed. He was mad at me. It was nothing that I could say. I was like, oh my God, I felt stupid. I felt like a horrible, terrible mother. I'm like, how could I let this happen? And we kind of just didn't talk about it no more after that. I mean, we kind of just didn't talk about it no more after that. It's kind of just, um, like I said, my son's father was so mad at me that but I just recently, just a couple weeks ago, I just recently texted him and asked him, how did he find my son? And he said he couldn't remember the lady's name that changed his diaper. So he was in a pool, and I think of all the things that could have happened. I said, somebody could have kidnapped my son. He could have got ran over by a car. Somebody could have kidnapped him and did something terrible to him. He could have got in that pool and he could have drowned. I thought of so many different things that could have happened to him, but by the grace of God, didn't. That lady was an angel. She was an angel, and she saved my son. So I don't know who she is. I wish I knew who she is, but I would definitely thank her if I knew who she was. I would definitely thank her. But just imagine the thoughts that was probably going through her head. She probably thought I was the most horrible mother on the planet. Now, I'm telling you this story because I'm going to make a point. Like I said earlier, had I blogged that situation with my son, me losing my son, it was completely my fault. We both should have been in the back of her house watching the children. We should have not been in front of the townhouse. I don't know why we were in front. We were in the back. I mean, we were in the front when we should have been in the back. So it was a horrible mistake on my part. We should have constantly had our eyes on the kids. That would have never happened. Um, Terrible, horrible, huge, horrible parenting mistake on my part. And it just enough time I was young, at the time, but it just made me realize that I needed to be more diligent, whatever the word is, and I needed to keep a closer eye on my son. And after that, I did. I learned my lesson. I kept a closer eye on him after that. But my son's father, I just remember him being so pissed. He took the diaper and he just slammed it in my hand. He was so pissed. He was so mad at me. And you know what? To tell you the truth, I don't blame him. I don't blame him because that was a huge mistake. The point is that I'm telling you the story because the point is that no mother out here is perfect. Every mother out here, I bet you every mother in this whole world that have children, whether they young children, grown children, or whatever, I bet you every mother out here has a story. Every mother out here has a story of a mistake that she made as a mother. Where is it? She took her eye off the child, and the child got hurt, or in my worst case scenario, came up missing. In my case, thank by the grace of God, that lady was an angel, and she she got my son, she had my son and everything. I think we started to call the police, but like I said, I called my son's father first, and by the grace of God, he it was between her and my son's father that my son is here, and that and by the grace of God, and so my point is that as mothers, we all make mistakes. Now, had I been a YouTuber back then and I had to blog that whole situation, boy, I bet you so many people on YouTube would have been blowing up CPS. They would have been blowing CPS up. CPS's phone would have got blowed up. They would have been blowing CPS up here in Michigan. They would have been blowing it up. They would have been calling all kind of CPSs on me. They would have been doing all kind of reaction videos, dragging me, saying I'm a Sweet June is a horrible mother. She's a horrible parent. She lost her son. Why wasn't she watching him? All that he's just a baby. She don't deserve to be a mother. Oh, they would have been calling me all kind of horrible, terrible, horrible names. I got some other stories to tell you too. Oh yeah. But my point that I'm making is there is no such thing as a perfect mother. And all mothers make mistakes. The difference between other mothers and the mothers here on YouTube that have the family channels is that their mistakes are being filmed. They're filming their mistakes. They're sharing those mistakes with the world because they have this family channel. And that's the only difference is that they're filming their mistakes. They're being filmed. But every mother out here has made some kind of mistake, has made some type of parenting mistake with their children. There is no such thing as the perfect mom. Every mother on the planet makes mistakes. We all have fell short and have made mistakes. That was a huge mistake that I made. Now, had that woman called CPS on me, I would have probably would have got my son taken away, or they would have did a huge investigation on me. I could have gotten in trouble. They could have charged me for child neglect. Oh my God! It was just by the grace of God that CPS wasn't called on me, but that could have happened. Specifically, if something terrible had happened to him, I could have gotten a lot of trouble. But I made a mistake. I made a mistake. And that's my point. Mothers make mistakes. After that, I was more diligent after that. And I kept a closer eye on my son. Okay, so I learned the lesson. The thing about mistakes is you learn from your mistakes. You learn from them and you do better after that. When you know better, you do better. And I learned from that mistake and I did better after that. And I kept a closer eye on my son after that. Okay. So that's the point that I'm making is that every mother out here makes mistakes. These people that are doing these reaction videos talking about these three mommies, there's so many single mothers or mothers, period, married or single, here on YouTube. But for some reason they decide to single out these three and talk about these three. These people doing these reaction videos, they're moms, a lot of them are moms themselves, and they know they've made mistakes. They got some, just like just told you that story, and I got stories to tell. Okay, they got stories to tell of some parenting mistakes that they made with their kids, and it was probably some major ones that they made. It just wasn't filmed. Okay? Every mother on the planet has made some type of parenting mistake. Whether it was they took their eye off their kids and it's something the child got into some mischief and something, they got hurt or they had to take the child to the hospital or or whatever. You know what I'm saying? The bottom line is no mother is perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect mother out here, and all mothers make mistakes. But the important thing is that you learn from those mistakes. You learn from those mistakes and you do better and you become a better mother. After that huge mistake I made, I did better. I kept a closer eye on my son and I got better. I learned from that mistake. So that's the only thing I could do. Okay? So that's the important thing is when you make mistakes, it's trial and error. You make mistakes as a mother, you do better. You learn and you do better and you use it as a learning experience and a teachable experience to help you to grow as a mother and to do better as a mother. That's why I don't judge these mothers on here. That's why I don't judge them. Because I know I made my mistakes. When I think back to when I was raising my kids, and trust me, I got more stories too. I made more mistakes too. The only difference was they wasn't filmed. I didn't put them on. I didn't put it on. Well, there was no YouTube back then. You know. Well, YouTube has been out for a few years now, but I wasn't blogging. Okay. We all make mistakes. That's why I'm the last person in the world to talk about somebody else. I know I made my share of mistakes when I was raising my kids. And that was a huge, major, major mistake. Something horrible could have happened to my son. By the grace of God, it didn't. Everybody makes mistakes. Every mother got a story. I know every mother out here has a story. Or a few stories that they can tell of some mistakes that they made with their kids. And some of them were major mistakes like what I made. The only difference was it wasn't filmed. These mothers are filming their mistakes. That's the only difference. The only difference. It's the only difference. Ain't nobody, no mother is no more better or perfect than they are. Because there ain't no such thing as the perfect mom. All mothers make mistakes. The important thing is learning from those mistakes. Okay? It's not make the mistake, but it's learning from the mistake. That's the thing. So that's the point I want to make. That was why I told you guys that story. That's the point that I wanted to make. But there's other stories as well. I might share another one with you at another time. But yeah, Your girl made a huge mistake back in the day. She made a huge mistake. And so, like I said, it had a blog, people would have been blowing up that CPS on me. They would have been blowing it up. So let me know what you think in the comment section. If you're a mother, share your mistakes. Hit me up in the comment section. Let me know what your mistakes were that you made when you were raising your kids. I know you got some out there. I know you do. Every mother has made some kind of mistake. Come on, share with me. Tell the truth and shame the devil. Hit me up in that comment section. Let me know what's some of the mistakes you made raising your kids. Okay? Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. Hit that notification bell so every time I do a video, you will be notified. I got over 700. I'm up to 751 scribes now. Thank you, new subscribers. I need you guys to start watching my videos. If you subscribe to my channel and you like my content, I'm assuming that you like my content. So I need you guys to start watching my videos, kind of get my views up there a little bit. And I need you guys to, anybody new watching my channel, please hit that subscribe button. Once I get to my 1,000 subscribe mark or over the 1,000 subscribe mark, I may be blessing my 1,000 subscriber with a $25 gift card. Yes, my 1,000 subscribes. So hit that subscriber button. Make sure you're sharing my videos, because once I get up there, whoever my 1,000 subscriber is gonna be, I'm gonna wind up blessing you with a $25 gift card. Okay. Help your girl out. Help your girl out. Bless your girl. Stick with me. I got some good things coming up here. Okay. Stay tuned. I got some more interesting video topics coming up. Peace and love. This is Sweet Jim.